Something I talk a lot about on my channel is how expensive owning pets is, and that pets are a luxury to own due to these costs. As many of you may know, I have 7 pets and I completely pay for all of their needs and wants by myself. And I choose to do this. So I figured let's take a deep dive into how much I spend yearly on my pets, as I do keep track of every single purchase I make because I like budgeting and I like to know how much I spend on certain things and where I can save money and all that fun stuff. Basically, what I want you to get out of this video is that pets are expensive to own, and they literally, no matter how many you have, are going to have continuous costs throughout their life until they die. And for anybody who thinks it's absolutely ridiculous for me to spend this much money on my pets, that is completely your opinion and that is fine, but it's my money that I earn and I am allowed to dedicate it to things that I enjoy in life and make me happy. And if owning 7 pets and spending all of this money on them makes me happy, then I'm gonna do it. Obviously, because we're only 6 months into 2023, we are not going to be using this year because there's just not enough data, obviously. But we're going to be going back and looking at 2022 and seeing how much I've spent. I went through and I broke everything down month by month. And I've also broken it down into each species for at the end, but that's a little bit more estimated due to a lot of the receipts will have like multiple different animal things that I've purchased, like cat food and rabbit food are going to be on the same bill. So it's a little bit hard to separate those and put them into categories. All right, so starting with January of 2022, I spent a grand total of $273 for that month, and I spent that on rabbit hay, cat food, hamster bedding and sand, rabbit litter, and a rabbit toy. So all of these things are basically just like necessary things except for the rabbit toy. Moving on to February, and this is probably the cheapest month out of the entire year for some reason. I only spent $123.89. That is pretty good. Though do keep in mind, a lot of the things that I buy, I don't necessarily buy monthly, or I will buy multiples of things. Like I buy 2 boxes of cat food, I buy 2 bags of rabbit litter, 2 bags of hay, and so on and so forth. But for the month of February, I only purchased some critical care for the rabbits, rabbit hay, and then some cat litter. Next up, we have March, and I spent $383.87. This went towards cat food, rabbit hay, hamster bedding, and then the cats had their annual vet checkup. Moving on to April, and this was an extremely expensive month for me. I spent a grand total of $1,095.49. This all went towards getting hamster food. I bought some acrylic for the rabbit's dig box that they use in their room. I also bought dowels to make hamster platforms. I also got the necessaries like hay and veggies for rabbits. Also keep in mind, I only started tracking my rabbit's veggie amount in April. I didn't track it for the other months, so their cost is a little bit more because I didn't track it then. I also got cat food, and Sadie had blood work done, and then she had a dental done. So that was probably the bulk of the cost right there. Next up in May, I only spent $262.74 on hay, hamster bedding, rabbit litter, and cat food. So once again, just basic things. Those basic things cost a lot of money. Then in June, I spent $251.21 on veggies, hay and litter for the rabbits, cat food, hamster bedding, and a hamster toy that I got off of Amazon. Another thing to keep in mind is that prices slowly get higher and higher. For example, at the beginning of the year, I was only paying $80 for 2 boxes of cat food, and by the end of the year, the price in total was, I think it's like $98 now. So I love rising prices. In July, I spent $283.88 on hay, veggies for the rabbits, cat food, and some ingredients for my hamster food because I do make my own homemade hamster mix. It is a little costly, but the amount that I make from it, completely worth it, and it ends up being really not that expensive in the end. In August, we actually had another really cheap month, and I only spent $189.94 on hay, veggies, and rabbit litter. In September, it's a little bit more expensive, so I spent $525. This went towards hay, veggies, rabbit litter, cat food. I bought more wood to fix the rabbit's dig box because it actually had burst through the seams when I wasn't home and my friend was taking care of them. So that was a fun time. I also then purchased a 10-gallon aquarium for my shrimp that I have now. And I also purchased 2 automatic cat feeder dishes. I actually purchased these because I feed my cats raw food and I can't just put out food and have it sit there all day. It's not going to be good. It's going to go bad, obviously. And there are often times when I would like to sleep over at a friend's house and I don't want to pester my mom to have to come feed the cats, or I don't have to, worry about racing home before 7 a.m. to feed them. So I found some really great automatic cat feeders that have freezer packs in them so that I'm actually able to still keep their raw food good for a long period of time, and it automatically opens and feeds them. And yeah, in October, we have another expensive month. This was $637.52 for hay, veggies, cat food, cat litter, rabbit litter. I went to the vet for Lola's eye. She actually had a piece of hay stuck in her eye, so she had to get eye drops and the exam fee, and I think they flushed her eye too, just all of that. And then I also ended up having to go to the vet for my hamster Mabel, who was losing weight, and I also bought cat supplements for their raw food that month. Then in November, I spent $459 on vegetables. For some reason, I bought a lot of vegetables this month. I don't know why it was a lot more than I usually do. I also bought hay, cat food, cat treats. I bought plants for my 10-gallon aquarium. And I also bought driftwood to go inside of it. I bought some Click and Grow plant pods for the small pets so that I could grow them vegetables over winter time. And I also bought hamster bedding and a hideout, but I'm not sure which hideout this was. It might have been a Halloween one, I'm not sure. And last but not least, we get to December, and I spent $579.59 on cat food, cat litter, hay, veggies, cat toy, a lid for the 10-gallon tank, and then the bunnies also got their vaccine, and Mabel had an ear infection, so that had to be treated and looked at. So, are you ready for the grand total now? In total, for 7 pets, well, technically more so 6, because I didn't necessarily have the shrimp yet, but I was starting to buy stuff for the shrimp. My total was $5,065.13. I'm just realizing how much money I would save if I didn't have any pets. I could literally go on such a nice vacation with $5,000, but I also wouldn't be happy because I wouldn't have any pets. What would I do with my life? It would just be pointless, Now, if you're also curious for more of a breakdown on each species and how much they've costed me, I did that, and I also did a little vet category. So in total throughout the year, I spent $1,694.34 at the vets. And if I'm being completely honest, for 7 pets, or at least 6 that could physically go to the vet, that's actually pretty decent. This is also just a reminder that if you own pets and they get sick or injured, they have to see the vet. It's non-negotiable. If you don't want to pay for a vet, you don't get the pet. I don't make the rules. So now for the breakdown of each species. So for the entire year, for my cats, I spent $2,477.47. For my rabbits, I spent $2,244.17. For the hamsters, I spent $762.33. And for my shrimp that I hadn't gotten yet, but this is more of their startup cost, I spent $171.68. So in total, my cats are probably my most expensive pet, but my rabbits fall very close behind. Rabbits are very expensive animals. My hamsters probably would cost me more if I was just starting out getting hamsters and I hadn't had them for 12 years now. So I've kind of obtained a lot of accessories and supplies. So very rarely do I have to go out and purchase something super duper expensive like a wheel or an enclosure. So they're a lot cheaper for me to own because I basically only spend money on their food about once a year because I make so much. And then bedding is probably the most expensive thing I spend on them, and then vet care. So that's just the estimated total that I spend on my pets in a year. Obviously, some years are going to be more expensive than others, depending on vet visits and depending on rising costs of goods. And if spending this much money on my pets really bothered me, I wouldn't have this many pets. Hopefully this video was able to give you guys a more realistic outlook on how much pets are going to generally cost somebody to own. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!